Okay, so I just watched Spider-Man No Way Home. Okay, I'm gonna try to do this in just one take. This might be a little difficult because, well, honestly, I don't even know what to say. I don't even know where to start. Um, you know what? First, I think I'm gonna do this a little differently than I've done this in the past. I'm just going to start with giving just my general thoughts on it, and then I'll go into more detail later. But let's just go ahead and start out with my general thoughts. This is the greatest superhero movie of all time. Um, Nothing can convince me differently. It's just I'm sure as time progresses and I watch it more times and I have more time to sit and think about it, that eventually I might start to think differently about it, or because I did the same thing with Endgame. When Endgame first came out, I was talking about how much I loved it and how it was my favorite superhero movie, and then well now I obviously I made a whole video about it on my second channel. But yeah, honestly, I can say that this is my personal favorite superhero movie of all time. Just everything about it, just especially as a Spider-Man story, the ending. This is really only the beginning of Tom Holland's journey as Spider-Man. Obviously, he's been Spider-Man because, well, he's Spider-Man. That's the whole point. But at the end of this movie, they set up a second trilogy to really start his actual journey as Spider-Man. And I'm talking about Spider-Man on his own, without ties to the Avengers, Stark Technology, everybody knowing who he is, all of his friends. At the end of the movie, nobody knows who Peter Parker is. Everybody completely loses their memory of Peter Parker. It's like he basically never existed. And I've heard a lot of people complain about the ending and how they don't like how everybody forgets, and how Spider-Man doesn't tell MJ when he meets back up with her that he's Spider-Man. But that's really the point. That was the best part. The point is that he's now accepted the responsibility that comes with being Spider-Man. So at the end, after everything is done and he completes the him and Doctor Strange do the spell and everyone forgets who he is, he goes to this place, I guess a coffee shop that MJ works at, and he's gonna tell her, he's gonna like reintroduce himself and everything, and be like, "Hey, what's up? I'm Peter," and then they're gonna get back on track where they were. But he sees that her and Ned both got accepted into college, and that's kind of that was kind of one of the big parts of this movie, is that they can't get accepted into college because they have ties to Peter, and Peter's being framed for murder. And that's basically that actually is what leads him to do the spell in the first place, to go to Doctor Strange and ask him to do the spell in the first place. So he sees that they've been accepted into college, and he makes a choice that he sees that they're doing so much better without the worry and stress of his life on them. So he decides he's not going to put that on him, and he introduces himself to MJ, and he just says, "Can I get a coffee?" And he talks to her. He asks her if she's excited for college, and he says, "I'll see you around," and he leaves. He gets like an apartment that's very similar to Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man in the Raimi movies, and he makes his own suit, and he's now just Spider-Man on his own. But yeah, general thoughts on the movie. I thought it was the first, up until a certain point, which is it's a little bit past the middle point of the movie, but it's when the stakes really start to get high, when the movie starts to really pick up and get extremely good. The first half of the movie is it could have been done much better. I think they really rushed through everything. Like, it was kind of hard to keep up with. I thought, at least. It was just like one thing after the other. And, that just kind of bothered me a little bit. But now I'm going to go ahead and start getting into more detailed stuff. I'm going to start out talking about the good stuff, and I'm going to talk about the bad stuff. So starting out with the good, obviously spoiler warning, don't, but the three Spider-Men, they're all in this movie. They're all together, and obviously I knew it was going to happen, but just seeing it like on screen, like I'm not even kidding when I tell you that when Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield popped up, I started crying. Because honestly, Tobey Maguire's movies and Andrew Garfield's movies is really what kind of birthed my actual love for movies, was the Raimi movies and then Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man movies. And so just seeing them again interacting with each other was just a really special thing for me to see and to experience. Seeing the way that all three Spider-Men can relate to each other and everything, especially after Aunt May's death in the middle of the movie, which is when things start to really pick up and stuff. I love how in this movie they really with Aunt May's death, if they were to do that in Far From Home, let's say, or Homecoming, they would have had Aunt May die, and then Peter would have been sad about it, and then like the next scene somebody's cracking a joke or something, or But no, in this movie, Aunt May dies, and that really, we get to feel the pain that Peter's experiencing for 30 minutes. I mean, we get to really sit with Peter and feel what he's feeling. And I love how they did that. I love how this entire movie isn't just a comedy. It's actually serious. It's much darker than the previous two movies in this trilogy, which I really liked, honestly. I like in the Amazing Spider-Man movies, I really like the route that they went with those, with kind of like a darker kind of tone to them. I was a really big fan of that, and I like how they kind of did that with this movie. Yeah, just another thing is that I love how the consequences for Peter's actions in this movie actually matter. They're actually big consequences. Him choosing to try and save the villains that they brought in, instead of just sending them back to doom them to be killed, gets Aunt May killed. And I just love how the consequences in this movie actually, they actually feel like they mean something. Because I think this movie and the consequences that Peter experiences really makes me understand what they were doing with the previous two movies, Homecoming and Far From Home. Because everybody was always complaining, oh, Tom Holland's Spider-Man doesn't have consequences. And that's the whole point. That's because they were waiting for this movie to, actually show the consequences of his actions. And I thought that they did a really good job. I thought they did a really, really, really good job in this movie of really breaking Peter. And one of the things going into this movie I wanted to see that we haven't seen from Tom Holland's Spider-Man at all is I wanted to see a Spider-Man that was angry and that was driven by absolute rage. At the end of the movie, I basically predicted this entire movie, honestly, before it released. I said that basically one of the main things in the movie is that Aunt May is going to get killed by the Green Goblin, and Peter's going to get extremely mad, and he's going to get extremely angry, and he's going to be fueled by rage, and it's going to lead him to kill Goblin at the end, which technically I was wrong. He doesn't kill Goblin, but he comes close to it. I mean, he kicks the crap out of the Green Goblin at the end of the movie, and it takes Tobey Maguire to stop him from killing him. So honestly, I love that they did that, and that they show Tom Holland's Spider-Man's ability to be angry. I also love what they did with the villains. I love how they actually managed to find a way to get all of the villains in this movie to work. I mean, characters like the Lizard didn't really do much, but still they still managed to take 5 of these villains, 4 villains, because Doc Ock's he's actually a hero in this movie, he's not a villain, but they managed to take all all these villains and actually make them work in one movie together. And it's like I was kind of, that's one of the things I was most skeptical about, was how they were going to get all the villains to work, but they actually did it very, very well, and I was surprised by that. So that's a very, very big positive. That's a very big positive. But yeah, no, honestly, the conclusion to this movie was, it literally fixed every problem I had with MCU Spider-Man, which it technically kind of reset MCU Spider-Man completely, because, you know, it's like a completely fresh start, which is good, because I think that, you know, I think that was much needed. Also, another thing is that I love, honestly, like, I was kind of, a lot of people, like, really exaggerated the whole thing with them not mentioning Uncle Ben a lot. It didn't really bother me too much, because, you know, I mean, yeah, I understand that Uncle Ben is like the entire motivation, but you can use different things other than Uncle Ben, and that's what they did. They used Aunt May as the Uncle Ben of this, you know, of this trilogy, and honestly, I kind of admire that. I kind of like how they chose to go with something different, choosing Aunt May to be the Uncle Ben of the trilogy, with her giving Peter the "with great power comes great responsibility" line before she dies. And yeah, no, I really like how they did that, and I liked kind of how different it was. So that was another really big positive. I mean, I just can't express how much the other Spider-Man being in the movie really meant. It was just crazy seeing them. Honestly, gosh, it was. I never thought that it would actually happen. Seeing all three of them interact and talk, and gosh, it was. Man, gosh, it was beautiful. Honestly, it was just beautiful. But now let's get into a little bit of, you know, the stuff I didn't really like. Obviously, I said that the first half of the movie feels like really, really rushed. It's really one thing after the other, and it's like really, really hard to keep up with. I almost feel like they couldn't choose for the first half of the movie, if, like, I feel like some of the jokes didn't really land that much. Like really, the stuff with Flash was kind of annoying, because I just didn't really find it funny, the stuff they tried to do with Flash. And then I feel like they couldn't really decide if they were trying to have more of a serious tone at the beginning, or kind of a comedy sort of tone. I really thought that there were times where they couldn't really decide what they wanted to do, and that, along with the pacing of the first half, kind of just threw it off a little bit. Honestly, that's all I can really think of that I didn't like about the movie. Other than that, I absolutely loved it. Obviously, Tom Holland. I'm not gonna lie. I think after this movie, Tom Holland's my favorite Spider-Man after this movie. I really liked his version of Peter Parker the most, I think. But now he's just my favorite completely. I'm really excited to see what they're gonna do with the next trilogy, especially with the post-credit scene of, they had like a little thing with Venom, and he's like in a bar talking, and then he gets transported back to his universe, but he leaves a part of the symbiote behind with him. And I'm just really interested to see where they go with that. I really want to see just more classic Spider-Man stories in the next trilogy. I want to see Tom Holland get his own version of the Sinister Six, instead of like this multiverse kind of version. It wasn't really in the Sinister Six, it was like the Sinister Four. I hope he gets like his just completely own version of the Sinister Six. Eventually I might do like a fan casting for the Sinister Six, and like what I want them to do with that, but, you know, just I won't do that unless people ask me to do it. So, but yeah, you know, I think that's really all I have to say about this movie. I mean, it was incredible. It was definitely my favorite superhero movie of all time. Probably my favorite movie of all time, to be honest with you. Best theater experience of all time. I cried probably 3-4 times during this movie. Yeah, no, I'm definitely gonna watch it again. Hopefully soon. But yeah, no, that's really all I got. I really encourage you to go watch it if you haven't. It's amazing. You won't regret it in any way. And I hope you enjoyed this video. I guess I'm not really sure. I suck at outros, honestly. I'm so terrible at this. Um, uh, uh, yeah, I don't know. Goodbye.